Welcome to Between the Poles, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of the pole community. I'm your host, Caroline. Here, it's not just about the tricks and the spin, it's about the stories, the people, and the connection that make our community so special. Every episode, we sit down with pole artists, studio owners, and inspiring members of the community to talk about their journeys, challenges, and passions. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get real. This is Between the Poles. Hi, Valerie. Welcome to Between the Pole. We are so excited to have you on, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I would love to talk to you, to share my experience, and I'm very excited for you to start this project.
Oh, thank you. We will get to it, but I have taken one of Valerie's course before, and we'll get to it and we'll talk about it. But I'm really excited for our viewers and our listeners to get to know you. I have a feeling that a lot of them follow you because you have quite an online presence, but we will get to all of that. I like starting everybody off on this podcast kind of with the same question. How did you come about pole dancing? How did you start this journey? And where are you at now, basically?
Okay, so actually, I just reflect on that question, where I am now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I even don't know where I am now. I have to think about that probably after the podcast. But let's start about how I started in pole dancing. Oh, that actually was a story. If we have time, I will tell. Do we have time for a long story?
We have time.
Perfect.
And we want to know it.
Because I feel like this story is a great lesson. For me, it was my lesson, and maybe it will be a lesson for someone else who is not in pole dancing yet, because I had a weird start with pole dancing. So prior to pole dancing, I was a psychology student. So I was studying psychology at the university. And I can say that I wasn't much open-minded at that moment. A lot of changes happened to me till this moment, so I can say that I'm very much different person. One of the changes was pole dancing. So in my group, I had a girl and she was doing pole dancing. And she was posting a lot of pole dancing on her, it was a long time ago, so it wasn't even Instagram, it was another like social media. So she posted a lot of her Instagram, a lot of her pole dance and stuff, and many of our teachers from the university are following her. And I was, a little bit judgmental about that. I was like, how she can post videos where she's upside down in those shorts? I can't even tell it was shorts. And I remember once I came to my parents and I showed to my dad one of her pictures, and I'm like, look, she's posting this. Like, everyone can see it. All our teachers can see it. And he said to me something like, first try to do it before judging. Like, then you can, like, tell your thoughts about that. But first try. And I was like, He, like, challenged me in a certain way.
I love that your dad said that. Good for him.
And honestly, I still believe, like, when he said that, he did not believe that I will try pole dancing, because I was so far from any sport. I was just reading books and paint and doing painting. So I was very far from sport. So when he said that, he was like, nah, she will not do it, but at least she will not judge. But you know what? I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And literally in a few months, I signed up for my first pole dancing class. And then everything changed. So basically, at first, it was challenge. I didn't tell that story much on my Instagram because I was a little bit, I felt guilty for that girl that I was judging her. But now I feel like it's good to share. So maybe other people who are like I was at that moment, maybe they will change their mind. And it's a good lesson to not be judgmental of anyone. And always, like Dad said, first try and then, like, tell your opinion about that. So yeah, this is how I started pole dance.
I love that. And I feel like I share with you a lot on that. Before I started pole dancing and being a part of the pole community, I feel it's really judgy. I was also very like conservative. And then to now, I'm like, who cares? And I'm like, live your own life, live your journey. And I'm all for that. But I love that. I feel a lot of mindset slowly change as people pull and you get to a community that is so welcoming. And that's one of the big reasons why I like pull so much. You kind of answered a little bit, but before you tried pole dancing, had you ever done any other sports?
So before starting pole dancing, I can describe myself like, so basically all my childhood, I was art student. I was in art school. I was making a lot of like paintings, oil paintings, aquarelle. I don't know how to say it in English. So I was doing a lot of that and pretty much no sport. And then I was psychology student, so I studied psychology. Again, I was all in books, so I was somewhere behind my table in between books and drawings. Can I say drawings? And drawings. Yeah, so no sport for me.
I will also say this. I hope that our viewers and our listeners are kind because Valérie and I are not native English speaker and we are doing this podcast in English. So you are welcome because we are both trying very hard. Valérie, can you tell us what is your native language?
Ukrainian.
And I am French. So I love that both of us are able to do this whole thing in English. So our viewers will be kind with us. We are trying our best.
Definitely, yes.
I also kind of want to ask you a little bit. So you went in and then tried pole. How was that first class? Do you remember? And you said it was a while ago. How, what year was that in? Do you remember?
I feel like it was like 9 years ago or so. I feel like, honestly, I don't remember. Unfortunately, all my laptops, tablets, old phones, all of it still in Ukraine. So unfortunately, I can't get all my old pictures and videos from when I just started pole dancing. So I'm not quite sure, but I feel like it was around like 9 years ago or so.
Around 2015, 2016, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like 2016. Yeah, somewhere there. And yeah, I do remember my first class.
How was
So
it?
the studio was like right near my place. So literally it was like 5 minutes walking distance. Like pretty cool. Um, it was cool. It was very interesting. I didn't really like the studio. Then I switched to the other studio because that studio's vibe was off for me. It's like always you have to find the instructor that aligns with like your mindset, with your vision. So I can't say that it was perfect studio for me at that moment, but I really like pole dancing. It was super challenging. When I saw how hard it is and how much joy it brings when you can overcome those challenges and do something cool, when you were not ever able to do something like that, that felt amazing. Yeah.
Then what was it about the other studio that you tried that you enjoyed? What was at that studio that you felt like was working for you?
First, the attention of instructors. So basically, those studios, like I said, you always have to try to come to different classes, different instructors, different studios to find the ones that perfectly aligns with you. So maybe if I would come to that studio now, when I'm already dancing in heels and stuff, I would probably like the studio more. But at that moment, I was very newbie. Still, I wasn't like fully open-minded, and I remember that that studio vibe was a little bit too, maybe, hard to say. Okay, I don't really like the instructors. Now I can tell as an instructor why. So my intuition was actually right about it. And another moment that just vibe was off. I'll prefer light, like this studio. Actually, this studio is very reminds me of my home studio. And the instructors in other studio were way more friendly. They were on same level with you. They wasn't like, okay, I'm the best one. I look amazing. You're just here, you know. Those girls at other studios, they were like super nice. They were like your friends, teachers, but friends from the very first class. And that gave me more confidence and I felt very accepted by the community at that moment. So that was the biggest difference for me. I felt like I'm part of it, not just someone who came and looking at them from the side.
I
So yeah.
love it. And I feel like for anybody that is starting their pole journey and is listening or watching this, I 100% agree with Valérie. I travel a lot and I pull at a bunch of different studios when I travel. And some studios, I really love because right away I love the vibe. And like you were saying, Valérie, too, I enjoy going to a studio where I feel like the teachers are super friendly. I like traveling, going to a studio that I've never been before. And then as I'm walking to my class, people are like, oh my God, hey, I haven't seen you here. Like, what are you working on? Like, where are you from? And then they ask you a bunch of questions.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you go to different studios and then you walk in and no one even says hello. And then you're kind
Yeah.
of quiet in the back of the class for the hour you're there. And then that's not how I like it. I really enjoy pole because I feel like people are really fun and uplifting and like you kind of make friends along the way. Um, so I hope that people listening, if you're just new to pole, try different studios, try also different teachers, right? Because we all learn in different ways and how people teach is so different that sometimes how somebody teaches something just resonates more with you for the same move as how somebody else would teach that to you. I also kind of wanted to ask you, because you did come from a fitness background, how quickly did you kind of move? Was everything a struggle at the beginning? And then this
Yeah.
is a lot of people. Were you able to right away pull your body weight? Or did that?
No, no. So still, when I'm looking back, I'm so proud of myself. I will not even hide this because I'm a perfectionist and I still can't explain to myself fully how I did not drop off because it was so hard. It was pure struggle. Nothing about pole dancing in the beginning for me was about like fun and like, wow, I can do it easily. No, it was so hard. A few moments. So first I had very sweaty palms. So not because I had bad grip, like weak muscles, but that too. But also I have just sweaty palms. They're still the same. Didn't change with that. So I not only was like completely without any muscles, with no strength, with no flexibility, but also I had sweaty palms. Imagine all of that together. And we had mixed groups. So basically, at one group, it was different level students. And I remember that, like, I'm trying to not like fall on the floor from basic fireman speed because I have no grip, and I'm just like sliding down. And the girls on the next post to me already doing like aerial splits, and I'm like, oh my god, I would never be able to do something like that. So yeah, everything was a struggle. This is why I want to say again to students who's watching us that even so it can be a huge struggle in the beginning, it doesn't mean that you will not succeed in it. It means that you have to keep going if you like it, and you will be able to do anything in future. You just have to keep practicing. I'm probably the best example of it because I was very weak, and plus I had those sweaty palms, so it was a struggle.
I love that you say that because I've I've been talking to a lot of people in this podcast, and a lot of our guests come from fitness background, so they were able to lift their body weight. That was not how I started either. I was too weak to lift my body weight. I had no idea, like zero strength in my upper body. So I love to hear you say that as well, because I know as beginners, sometimes it can be really discouraging when you feel like everybody else can do it from the start, but that's not true. And it's nice to hear people that are now like really good talking of how they started. And I love that you're like, yeah, I've been pulling for almost 9 years. So what we see today that you're sharing online, and we'll get to it, right? How beautiful it is. But yeah, you worked a lot on that, and that's not how you start. And I love that people get to hear that because I feel as humans, we forget that.
Definitely. I want to add one more thing because it's also a very good example of how it was in the beginning. So when I was doing already pole dancing, honestly, it took me not months, not half of the year. It took me years to become better, not good, just better. So I still remember when I was kind of into pole art because I started from pole tricks and I did pole art, more like contemporary dancing with pole. And I still remember how, again, my parents are very supportive, but they're usually telling me like straight truths, but they're supportive, so in a good way. And I remember how they told me that probably I better keep going with tricks, but do not do any dancing. Cheers. But do not do.
Cheers. Valérie and I, by the way, Valérie and I will get to it because I did take one of her courses, so I know her a little bit. And then we laugh because on Instagram, our stories, we have like 3 or 4 drinks going. And as we're filming this podcast, if you're just listening to it on Spotify, you can't see us. We both have our Starbucks. I also have like a liter of water with like electrolyte on this way. I had my coffee on the other side. And the same with like bunch of drinks all the time. So that's why
Always.
I'm
Cheers. So, yeah, and my dad, he said that, my mom and dad, they said like, you may be better keep going with tricks, but dancing is really not yours. You can't move flowy. This was said to me like very straightforward that like keep going with tricks. You're getting some success in it. It's okay, but do not do dancing, not yours.
Look at you now, Valérie.
And I'm like, God. And now, like, literally, Allure Flow is about being flowy. This is why I'm saying this. It takes time, but if you can't do it even for the first years of your practice, that doesn't mean that you're not capable to do it. It just means that you need more practice.
I love that. And
Yes.
then for people that don't know you, because I obviously follow you and now I've taken all your courses, so I kind of know a little bit more about your style. But for people that don't know you, how would you describe your style? Like, yeah.
So I would describe Allure Flow as something half ethereal, half angelic, and extremely flowy. This is how I see it, with a lot of pirouettes, staying on point, and making look hard moves look easy and effortless. So everything what is about flow and effortless, ethereal looking. This is Allure Flow. This is how I see it. And perfect lines. So I can say that my main goal when I'm making a choreography is to make the choreography the way that if you will pause the video at any moment, it will be like very nice pose and very nice screenshot that you can post like a separate picture. So it's all about the lights and of course arm movements.
I love
Yeah,
it.
this is how I see it.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe your style. That's something that really drew me to your Instagram page. That's how I got to kind of know you for the first time, was on Instagram. And I just thought how you dance was so beautiful, so flowy, so controlled. And we'll get to your course a little later in the conversation, but I will say this, my angles, I had never thought to myself more of like point, toes, lines than I ever did by taking your classes. And it made such a big difference. And we'll get to it. So I want people to kind of get to know what you're offering a little more. I wanted to ask you, because you struggled a lot when you started your pole journey and all that. What do you feel really kept you coming back to pole? Was it like the community, the teacher, pole in itself? Like, what interested you most about it?
Probably the feeling that I am part of something really cool. So when I was kid, I dreamt to be dreamt. My dream was to be a ballerina. And we had no good ballet school at my city. I'm from small town. So basically, it was no chances for me to become a ballerina. Not much chances, let's say, at that moment. And always when I was at school, I was looking at the girls who's doing dancing professionally. And it always felt for me like they're just different, like they're different from anyone else. They look so confident. They look so graceful. They're just like some other species. And when I started to do pole dancing, I felt like now, at least a little bit, I belong to that community, to that part of the world. And that gave me confidence just by the fact that I was like one step in that part. So this is what kept me going the most. I just felt much better than I felt before. Like I have a secret, I can do pole dancing, something like that. So yeah.
I love that. I kind of want to move on to a different subject because I want us to have like a lot of time to talk on it because I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by your Instagram. At the moment that you and I are recording this, you are almost at 70,000 people that follow you on Instagram. That is impressive. Can you tell us, when did you start your page? Like, how did that start? When did you start sharing online? And what do you share right now? How are you managing that page right now?
Okay, let me think. So basically, when I was back in Ukraine, I moved to Canada, I believe around like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So when I was in Ukraine, I already was a pole dance instructor for a few years, but I wasn't posting nothing. I wasn't posting at all on Instagram. I had Instagram, it had few pictures, that's all. Because I always felt like I'm not good enough to post something. It does not worth to be posted. Plus, I was a little bit afraid what people will think about that, so I wasn't posting much. When I moved to Canada, also like for the first year, so basically my page exists for 4 years, I think. Actively, I'm posting for last 2 years and a half. Yeah, before that, I was posting a little bit. It started. Oh, actually, again, it's somehow parents and other adults are really involved in my process of becoming a pole dancer in an interesting way, and how I become how I started to post. So I had one of the videos back from Ukraine where I'm dancing to Lana Del Rey choreography. It was very soft, very, I would say, aesthetic in heels, but closer to pole art style. And I remember that I showed that video to my boyfriend's mom, and she was like so excited about it. She said that it's so beautiful. Like, wow, why you're not posting that? And then she sent that video to her sister. Like, I even didn't know about that. She sent that video to her sister, and her sister was like, wow, it's so beautiful. It's so elegant. It's so feminine. Like, you have to post it. And at that moment, like, something clicked in my head. Like, okay, it seems like no one is judging me. Everything is okay. Everyone is so chill. People love it. So maybe I should share more. And probably from that moment, I started slowly post some dancing videos. They're like slowly but surely it developed into what we have now. So yeah, this is how I started to post. But for a long time, I was holding back just by the thought that I'm not good enough to post. My videos are not good enough, and like I'm not on that level.
Yeah, and I'll look at you and your page is amazing. Um, when did you feel that people started really like following you a lot? Because almost 70,000 people, like at some point it must have like taken off. Do you remember that point?
Yes, I remember like two moments when two of my videos become viral. And it was like also pretty interesting. I feel like the biggest growth started from when I started to post tutorials, how-to videos. I still remember how I came up with my first tutorial because my style has a lot of pirouettes and everything. My very first tutorial was filmed exactly about how to make a pirouette. And because my English was so bad at that moment, trust me, now my English is so much better than there. And I was so not confident about the way I speak. So I decided to make a tutorial, and I had to explain everything without words. So I push myself to literally be as visual as possible so people will understand what I'm trying to show them just by looking at my body, at my mimic. So I had to like point, smile, turn, and show all of that so I will not need words. And then when I filmed that video, I came home, I watched the video, and I'm like, wow, I really like it. It's very easy to understand. And I'm like, And I was smiling when I was watching the video. And it's not happens. I'm not often happy with my videos. So the fact that I was smiling, I'm like, okay, it definitely should be posted. Then I added subtitles. My boyfriend helped me to make less mistakes. So yeah, this is how I posted the first video. And when I saw a good feedback on it, I'm like, okay, let's make more tutorials. And yeah, it's a nice way to teach. So I enjoy it a lot.
Want to make that first tutorial? You just got up one morning and you're like, oh, I want to film a tutorial? Like, how did you think about that?
Yeah. Oh, literally like that. I came to the studio because I was filming a lot of just dancing videos at that moment. And I remember I just like, okay, I want to show how to do pirouette because at that moment I saw that many students are doing the same mistakes while they're making pirouettes. And I'm explaining the same things over and over and over and over again. And I feel like there is just a few moments that you can change while you making pirouette. And those small moments will change the entire look of the move. It makes it so much easier for you to perform. And I just wanted to make one video that I will be able to send to my students and they will see like what adjustments you have to add to make it look effortless and cool. And then I just, as visual as possible, show that on the video. And this is how the first video were made. And then I'm like, okay, wow, that seems like it's working. And this is how I continue.
I love it. And it really comes from a love of teaching. And then I guess I'm just kind of curious now, how did you become a pole teacher? How long have you been teaching and like, how did that happen?
Oh, I feel so. So I started to teach at my home studio and I started from teaching flexibility classes. So at first I wasn't a pole dance instructor. I believe after a few years of being a student, I was really into it. So I was attending different championships. I was doing pole dancing day and night, every day after university, before work, after work, nighttime, literally like nighttime, morning, like all the time. Plus, I was attending a lot of different workshops and master classes. I was so much into it. And eventually, the owner of the studio, I love her. She's amazing. She's my great friend still, even so we are in different countries. We are in very good relationships. She played a huge role in my pole dancing life and in my life in general. So this is why, one more time, it's very important to find your teacher because your teachers, they can so much influence your way of pole dancing, your way of feeling at how you feel in the classes. So always find your own perfect instructor. And yeah, so I was talking about, and she asked me to teach flexibility class because at that moment I was trying to improve my own flexibility. So yeah, and I was attending different master classes, different courses about flexibility because at certain moment I saw that I'm progressing in flexibility, but I don't really know what to do. And I felt like I'm getting too many injuries and I wasn't able to recover from the injuries and I get another injury. So I started to learn about flexibility and how to do it properly to actually get results and get less injuries. So at certain moment, I was pretty well educated in the field of flexibility and how your body works. And after that, eventually the owner of the studio, she asked me to teach flexibility class. So my first class, it was flexibility. I still remember how she actually also pushed me to take some extra class or some extra workshops, master classes, courses. So I feel like she had that idea in her head way before she told me that, like, okay, now teach on Saturday. So I still remember first class, I came with a notebook where I literally painted. I was that excited. I painted every position that we will do in flexibility class with full description. I came with that note. I'm like, okay, I'm so ready. I was terrified, but yeah, that was fun. This is how we started.
I love it. And then you've been teaching, I guess, ever since. I kind of want to bring this into the kind of teacher you are now, because you still teach in-person classes. And for our viewers and our listeners, you teach online as well. They can take your course. Can you tell us a little bit more about your course, what you offer, how you teach, and how you go about it?
Oh, we can talk about that a lot. So yes, I'm still teaching. Actually, now I'm teaching way less. Before I was teaching so many classes, but literally like 4 months ago, I decided that I will teach way less. So basically now in person, I'm teaching just a very few classes. Before it was much more, but I noticed that my body is not really capable to do that many classes at once. So I gave up on some classes. But what I can tell that definitely now I feel so much more energy that I can invest that time and that energy into teaching online. So what I like. So I have more time for more projects. About you probably know that feeling, right? When your body is like so overloaded that you're like, oh.
And see, but I guess we're in different position. I keep on telling my teachers like, oh, this year I'm going to teach less. I'm going to teach less. This year I'm letting my body. And then other things happen and I end up teaching crazy amounts of class. And every year I tell myself I'm going to teach less, but I am not I am not there yet. But my goal is to teach less so I could train myself a little better and let my body have nice rest days as well.
Nice rest. Yeah. So let's say it this way, or you will do it, or your body will push you to do it. And I know that you're a studio owner so for you it's a little bit different because once you need someone to cover the class and you don't have anyone to cover, you have to do it. So I would say on your side, it's a little bit different just from the part of obligations that you have.
Yeah.
So I don't own the studio, so this makes probably the very big difference. Plus, I'm doing that already for so many years that I feel like there is still a limit that your body has just like from that point, because I had my neck pulled almost every week, that much that I wasn't able to turn my head. And at some moment, I'm like, okay, this is not healthy. This is not normal. It's not supposed to be that way. And that was a big push for me to teach less. So yeah. And what we were
How
talking about.
I was going to ask you how you went from teaching in studio and all that to creating your own courses and now teaching online. When did you get the idea and then how did that happen?
So probably at first I grow some audience on Instagram. At that moment, I wasn't even thinking about teaching online. I was just posting tutorials, posting videos, and I felt like I'm building the connections with my following, with my people. And I wasn't even thinking that I can actually teach online. It took me a while till the idea came into my head. And how that happened at first? So basically, when you're teaching classes in person, unless it's a workshop or some special series of classes, there is a certain structure of the class. So the class should go a certain way, approximately it's 1 hour, so you can't give more than is, let's say, on the needed list of the class. And for me, always, I still can tell with 100% sureness that your success in pole dancing and is in anything is not only actual pole dance practice. It always includes your mindset. So the way you feel in the class, the way you think about yourself, the way you see yourself, that all influence your progress the same way as actual physical practice. And I know that this is why I get any success in pole dancing, not only because I was showing up to the classes, but mindset that helped me to keep showing up, feel more comfortable, believe in myself. So all of that together. And in regular classes, of course, you don't have time to explain that part of pole dancing. You basically almost don't have time even to show the move properly. You have to do warm up, you have to do cool down, you have many students, you have to show that spot, everyone. It's crazy, I don't know, crazy marathon. It's not like you have time to talk about the way you feel, about your mindset, about psychology. And at certain moment, I realized that I can do it in my own way for the people who is interested. So I can build my own program and teach that program separately from doing an actual classes, because I just can't do it in classes. The structure of the class is different. So I just needed to express and say more than I can say in the class. And this is basically how I came up with the idea to teach online course.
I will also say I liked how you taught. So I did Valerie's course a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed how you broke it down. I feel that was the first time that any teacher really spoke a lot about the psychology and the mindset of pole. And I guess it's because you were a student in psychology that you find that. Why do you spend so much time on psychology of pole? Why are you interested in that? And how do you feel students respond to that?
Definitely in our life, everything starts here. The decision to come to the classes, how you will feel in the class, why you actually doing that. Everything starts from certain thoughts, from certain understanding, from certain pictures, certain feelings. And for me, I feel like it's just the way I am. This is why I started to learn psychology when I was younger. I was very interested in the way our brain works and our soul works. Because all of that determines so who we will determine. Anyway, you got it. So, yeah, this what makes you you. And if you can understand yourself better, I feel like you're able to change the world. Once you're able to overcome your own fears, your own insecurities, once you truly believe in yourself and you know how you works, not only from the body part, but also how you feel, how your soul works, how your mindset works, you can change your life absolutely. You're literally starting to be the most powerful person possible. You can do anything. And an example for me, it was pole dancing. Because like I said, a big reason for the success in pole dancing for me, it was my mindset. And when I saw so many students that are coming to the classes, and I felt like I want to come to them and talk to them not as instructor, but maybe as a psychologist, maybe as a friend from that side, to tell them something that really helped me so they will feel more confident, more comfortable. Because it always made me feel like, so, oh, let me tell you, I know, I know this, you can do this, you're amazing, you're beautiful, just believe in that. And basically, this is what I wanted to bring to people so they will understand how amazing they are through the pole dancing, or not only through the pole dancing, let's say that way. So yeah, I always was into psychology. And it's just a perfect combination. So you're working with mindset and you're working with body together. Because anyway, it works together.
Yeah. Can I also ask you, and I know certain of your tips and tricks because I've taken your course. For people that are starting in the choreo aspect, can you give us a tip or two that you feel like mentally makes a big difference?
Mentally makes a big difference.
Like being comfortable, or in the level of being confident, or anything like that?
Yes. So I have to think probably about that longer, but just to feel confident, of course, first thing, it will be just to not compare yourself with other students. I know it's very easy to say and very hard to do, but probably not that hard. You just have to turn it off in your head and accept the fact that you're very different and you have to know your strong sides. So once you stop to compare yourself to other girls, other students, you will feel so much better because you will be able to focus on your own strengths. And once you can find your own strengths, it will be much easier for you to make choreographies because you will know on what to make accent on. You will know what can be your main scene, what can be interested. So you don't have to do just mainstream stuff like everyone else and compete with them and think or they're better. You can just be your own person do your own thing, your own dance, and that gives you a lot of freedom. So you have to find what is your unique feature, and then just how to say, like, expand it more, show it more, and that will give you the confidence because it will give you the uniqueness and comfort of being you. So it's like the main thing probably is to find your uniqueness.
I love that. And I'm really happy you share that because it's something you touched up when I did your course. And that has really made a big impact on how I dance now and how I see myself. And I remember you saying that and then me thinking, you told me this and I loved it. You're like, even if you see somebody, let's say, do a pirouette and you want to copy their pirouette, and then you'll look at how you do it and how they do it, and it's going to look different. It's because they're focusing on their strength and what makes them them. And then you have to find what makes you you and what your strength is, and then put that forward. And I really liked it. And then, let's say for me, I was like, you know what? I really like dancing with my hair loose and there. And I really like having like great eye contact and stuff. And I'm like, so instead of now just trying to copy something that I see, I'm like, okay, I like this move. How can I make it so that my hair is put forward and then I get the opportunity to like give a good eye contact? And I took that not only for myself as a teacher, I now also, I not only took that for myself as a student, I now also try to tell my students the same thing. I feel like it made such an impact. And for you to take the time to like really focus on those little mindset change make such a big difference. And instead of now always trying to copy somebody, I'm like, how can I make this my own? How can I focus it to my own abilities? And I hope that people that are watching and people that are listening can think on that tip as well and really put that in their pole backpack and use it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so happy to hear that it works for you still and that it works for your students because it's probably the biggest thing. It's very easy for our brain. We are usually focusing on the negative sides of everything. It's very easy for us to see when something is wrong, something is not the way you expected it to be. This is just the way we most of the time, we think that way. And it's very hard to focus on what is actually great. And it's from some moment you just like you shifting your attention from the things that are wrong with you to things that are amazing with you. And once you focus on that, your entire vibe is changing, your mood is changing, and you're starting to really believe in yourself. And that already changes your practice and your life in general. For me, the best example is students can be upset when their choreography does not look the same good as one instructor is dancing the choreography. But this is what I want everyone to understand. Pretty much every instructor has their own style. And how it built? You're just choosing what works the best for you, what you like the most, and then you're making choreographies from it. And when you dance in the choreography that perfectly aligns with your vision, with your body, that is easy for you to do, it will look one way. One student comes to your class, they might love to watch it, but they have different bodies, and maybe they can't make the same pirouettes as you are making, but they can be much better in other movements, but they can't see it in the moment because they're learning your choreography. And for me, I wish all students know it. So when they're coming to the class, they're not doing what is the most aligned for their body. They're doing what's the most aligned for the body of instructor. And this is why it's very important to know your strong sides, because then you will be able to implement changes in the already existing choreography of the instructor, and you will be able to shine with your own uniqueness through it. Because when you will just copy someone else's choreography, it never will be the same good. But once you know your uniqueness, you can make it just amazing. I don't know if I explained properly what I meant, but I tried.
Think you did. And I try to tell my students the same because when I teach a choreo,
Mhm.
oh, how do you make that work? Or how is, and I'm like, I don't know, my body naturally wanted to do that transition. I went
Yes.
and I did a move, and then naturally my body wanted to go to the second move. And maybe it doesn't feel right for you, but it felt right for me. So I chose to teach that because for me it felt good. And then
Exactly.
the same, I'm like, I go to other teachers' choreo classes and I struggle. I'm having trouble learning choreo, having trouble. And I'm like, that is normal. Also, I feel like we kind of separate pole into like two big things, right? Tricks or choreo. But I'm like, that's kind of a lie because in both, there's so many subsections. There's
Yeah.
so many styles of choreo. There's so many different tricks. And some
Yeah.
people really like hard style or what they call Russian style at certain studios as well, where it's a lot of like flips from the floor and handstands and like super hard, quick choreo. But there's also like flow choreo that you're trying to not make it look like one move, but you're trying to make it look like sequence, right?
Yeah.
And then your body will move through those different styles in different ways. And not because you're great at one style that you will be great at all the other styles as well, right?
Absolutely no. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And like this is why I'm also telling that you have to like try different styles. You have to feel what is the most aligned with you. I still feel like the part of my pole dancing journey that brings me to the point where I'm right now is the fact that pretty early I let go of taking choreography classes of other instructors. So we had different we had different choreography instructors, heels choreography instructors in our studio, and none of that were working for me. I wasn't feeling that this is what I want to dance. And I took a few contemporary classes without pole, and I feel like, okay, I like this. But that was long time ago without like, Instagram wasn't that popular at that moment. So a lot of movements you had to make by yourself from your head. And I started to just slowly come by myself to the studio to practice. And that helped me to find what the most aligns with my vision of dancing, what works the best for my body. So I had hours that I spent at the studio just practicing different movements and see what is the easiest, the most natural, the most comfortable, and the most expressive just for me, not for instructor. So I did not spend too much time into other instructors' choreography classes, and I think it was a good thing. So I had time to explore my own field.
Do you still train that way for yourself? Like if you want to train, how do you train right now? Like
Now I finally have time to train for myself. Because when I was teaching that, I don't know, I was teaching like more than like around 30 classes a week. So that was like pretty intense, very intense. I had no strength to practice for myself. Now it's coming back. So pretty much, yes, I'm just trying to see what looks good on my body and what works, how to tell us. Like usually before coming to practice, I'm trying to see how I see myself right now. What emotions, what feelings, what I want to represent, what I want to show in my dance, what level of femininity, of sensuality, like those skills. And then I'm coming to the class and I'm trying to express that exact understanding through my movements. This is how I train now. Sometimes I can find something interesting on Instagram that I want to try, that I'm playing around and see what modifications I can do. But mostly I'm I'm on the at the point where I want to change my style a little bit. I feel like I changed and I want to make it a little bit more sensual because this is how I feel now. So yeah, currently I'm working on changing my style a little bit and exploring my own shadow sides. So this is with what I'm working.
would you say it's like your next big goal, I guess, for this year, or
I
are
can
you
say it's a
working towards?
goal. I would say it's more like natural process for me because when I started, I did tricks at first, then I did pole art, then I did pole art and heels, then I started to do flow. So it always was developing. And what is interesting right now, even if I will want to dance pole art, I will not be able. I tried. I tried to dance pole art but I don't have any more the drama in me. I got so much more like confidence and sensuality and femininity that I don't have drama. And I'm like, I want to dance pole art, but I can't. I'm not struggling about love. I'm not struggling. I'm like, no, I can't. I tried. Last time I was able to dance pole art, it was few days before war started in Ukraine. And I was listening to the song of one Ukrainian singer, and it's pretty much about war in a certain way, about love and war. And I remember that I just started to dance like pole art. It was pure pole art. And at that moment, I realized, okay, the war will happen. Even if I don't want to, my feelings telling me that that will happen. That was the moment when I felt pole art, when I felt drama, and just all emotions came through my body. I was able to dance. After that, I didn't dance pole art at all. So the same for me with sensuality. Now I feel even more feminine. I feel my shadow side more. So now I'm starting to just my dance changing. My style is changing because I'm changing. So it's not even like a goal. It just happens in natural flow, let's say that way.
I love that. I love that you feel it's more like a journey and you're willing to just kind of go with it than seeing it as kind of segments that you're just putting together. You're more like, no, my pole is slowly evolving through how I evolve as a person. And I think that's an amazing way to look at it as well. Um, yeah, I don't want to keep you on here forever. So I feel like this is the time where we'll go to the last segment of the podcast, which is the last grip. These are shorter questions that you can answer with as much or as little detail as you want.
Let's do it.
Valérie, are you ready for the last grip? All right. Coffee or tea? For people that
Coffee,
are
always coffee.
listening to this on
Infinite amount,
Spotify,
unhealthy amount of coffee. Yes,
I was going to say, for
always.
people listening to this on Spotify and not watching us, Valérie has like a venti Starbucks coffee. And anytime I see Valérie in stories or we FaceTime in the past, you always have a venti coffee going if you don't have like two coffees going. So I would have been
I have two.
venti.
Currently, I have two. And the last moment I show up, last time I show up to the class without coffee, one of my students said, "Oh no, what happened? Where is your coffee?" That means like something definitely happened. And it was true because I was so late to the class that I didn't have time to grab coffee. So yes, if everything is like perfect to the schedule and stuff, I am with coffee. So yes, coffee.
I love that. Can you tell us your favorite song to dance to right now?
I have two different singers, Lana Del Rey and The Weeknd.
Okay.
They touch my soul, and that's all of them, all of their songs.
I love that. Can you tell us your most loved pole outfit or accessories?
I don't have favorite.
I'm
I love to
say
change style. Sometimes I like to dance in skirts, something super girly, something like flirty. Sometimes I like all black. I can't even tell. Everything. It depends on mood.
if you do not follow Valérie, please give her page a follow. Your outfits, like every day you post, and every day is like a new amazing outfit. And every day I'm like, oh my God, that's beautiful. I want that out too. So if you have a shopping problem, do not follow Valérie because you're gonna
Yes,
want
because Valerie also have shopping problem, but she does not think it's a problem.
I
Yeah.
feel like I have the answer for this question, but heels or barefoot? Heels. I just knew that. One word to describe your pole journey.
Love life.
Spin or static?
Like I'm super dizzy on spinball.
Choreo or tricks?
Or
Morning practice or evening practice?
evening practice for me, morning it's 11 a.m. It's early morning, so I'm not morning person in general.
Do you love or do you hate conditioning?
I admire conditioner. You can love it, you can hate it, but you have to do it no matter what.
Can you tell us two or three people that you follow, other pole artists that you follow that we should know about?
I really like Daria Che. I think Daria Che. I love her way of dancing. I love the way her body flows. In general, yeah, I like everything about her dance style. I don't know her personally, but I believe I would like her as a person too, because what she's posting, it aligns with my vision. Also, I like Angela Pollard. I have to check. She's dancing in pretty skirts, usually in high socks and heels. I love her. She looks like a very nice person. I talked to her a little. I like her a lot. I love her vibe and I love her dancing. So yeah, this is for right now. Like
Love that. And then, Valérie, for our viewers and our listeners, how can we find you? How can we support you?
So you can find me on Instagram. My name is Valerie underscore pole dance underscore. You can also find me on YouTube. I just started my YouTube channel. I'm working on it. So if you will give me a follow, if you will watch tutorials and learn with me on YouTube, that would be amazing. Because it takes time, it takes motivation. So I'm trying to not give up. My name there is the same, also Valerie underscore pole dance underscore. So yeah, this is where you can find me. My website you can also find from Instagram or YouTube. So yeah, this is pretty much it. If you will want to join any of my courses, of course, you're very welcome. We are working, let's say, on psychology part of dancing and how to use your brain to get better results. How not just to practice and do nothing, but how to practice and actually grow and do it completely conscious with full understanding of how things works, and do not lose the motivation and find your strong sides, definitely. So yeah.
Have done one of Valérie's course. I would recommend it. I really liked it. And it really did make an impact on how I dance now and how I go about dancing and moving through choreos. I will also, as always, put Valérie's details and Instagram handle and YouTube channel in the caption so you guys can find her super easy. Valérie, thank you so much for being with us today, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you for inviting. Have a great day too. Mwah.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Between the Poles. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Stay connected with us on social media, and we'll see you next time right here, Between the Poles.